Good afternoon, and the music hasn't even started. Merry Tuba Christmas! Well, we're very happy to have you with us today, both on stage and in the audience. I'm Frank Byrne, Executive Director of the Kansas City Symphony. We are the hosts of this event, and as you can see, I'm not just an Executive Director, I'm also a tuba player, so I'll be joining you today. Over the course of the afternoon, we'll have some fun, we'll hear some carols, and you'll have the opportunity to really enjoy yourself, get in the spirit of the season. And an ensemble like this, like any successful ensemble, needs a leader. And for a number of years now, we have been very fortunate to have as our conductor for this event the professor of tuba at the University of Kansas, a great player and teacher. Please welcome our conductor, Professor Scott Watson. Doesn't he look sharp in that red vest? I'm telling you. Pretty good. Well, I'll be telling you some history of Tuba Christmas and some other things throughout the course of the morning, but let's get things started with music. Our first carol today is Adeste Fidelis, O Come All Ye Faithful. And how this will work is that we will play each carol twice. And on the second verse, you are welcome to join in and sing along if you happen to know the words. If not, just make them up. Here's Adeste Fidelis. I know what some of you are thinking. You've never heard anything like this before, right? Well, Tuba Christmas started back in 1974. This is the 43rd such annual event. The very first Tuba Christmas was held in New York City at Rockefeller Center on the ice rink, as if it wasn't cold enough. They played on an ice rink. And there were about 300 performers there on that occasion. Just to give you a sense of perspective, between the stage and the choral loft and a few folks over here, we have today over 350 performers on stage. And this is the second time we've done it. We did it also about 10 days ago on the 2nd of December, and we had an equal size crowd, meaning that if you put them both together, we probably have in the low 700s in terms of performers, and that has to make ours the largest Tuba Christmas in the United States. The origin of Tuba Christmas was to not only celebrate the instrument and have fun, provide camaraderie, but also to honor William J. Bell, who was maybe the first great American tuba player. He was born on Christmas Day, 1902, and his main student, Harvey Phillips, as I said, founded this in 1974. And Harvey was a remarkable guy. Tuba Christmas in Kansas City had been around for a number of years, almost since the beginning. But about 10 years or so ago, he called me on the phone one day and said, "Frank, the people that have been hosting Tuba Christmas for a while can't do it anymore, and if you don't step in with the symphony, then there won't be a Tuba Christmas in Kansas City." So we started hosting it, and it's grown into this amazing thing that we have today. And we are very, very proud of it, and we like the fact that we have lots of fun and that we celebrate the season. Now, our next carol that we will play is Deck the Halls, which is an old English carol, which was originally to celebrate not necessarily Christmas, but the New Year. And the fa-la-la-la-la refrains were meant to imitate the sound of a harp. And the tune dates back to the 16th century, and in the 18th century, Mozart actually used the tune for a violin and piano duet. So this isn't violin piano, but let's enjoy Deck the Halls. I think you're getting the hang of the singing part. You came in well on the second verse, so you keep that up. How many people, just out of curiosity, how many people in the audience today are related to someone who's sitting on stage? Would you raise your hands? Very nice. Thank you for coming today. How many of you in the audience are attending Tuba Christmas for your very first time? Raise your hands. Wow! A special welcome to all of you first-timers. We are happy to have you with us. I talked a little earlier about Harvey Phillips, the man who conceived of Tuba Christmas, and he did so much for the tuba. He commissioned dozens of solo and ensemble works for the tuba. He was a fantastic champion of the instrument. And Harvey was born on December 2nd, 1929. Wrong century. He was born on 1929. And he passed away in 2010. The previous one we did about 10 days ago was actually on his birthday. He would have been 87 on that day. And Harvey comes a little bit from this neck of the woods. He was born in Aurora, Missouri, which is between Joplin and Springfield. And he attended Mizzou for a short period before heading off to the Juilliard School. You can clap, Mizzou fans. He went off to New York to the Juilliard School, and in 2007, Harvey Phillips was admitted to the American Classical Music Hall of Fame. He was the only wind player ever to be afforded that singular honor. Our next carol we will play is God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. It's a traditional carol from the English tradition, and the composer is unknown, but we love this carol all the same. So join us in God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. Are you feeling rested? I heard over the weekend about a list of supposedly the most popular, the most played Christmas carols. And this next one was very high on the list. The first Noel is another traditional English carol. No big surprise that, since we had so many people come populate the United States from England, it came from the Cornish tradition, and it was published first in 1823, and later arranged, and extra lyrics were added. And of course the word Noel comes from the French, meaning Christmas, from the Latin word natalis, meaning birth. And it's just a lovely tune. So let's enjoy the first Noel. If you'd like to know a bit about the instruments that are playing before you today, the tuba was invented around 1835 in Germany by Wilhelm Wieprecht and also Johann Moritz. And they were very involved in the development of brass instruments. The euphonium was invented in 1843 in Weimar, Germany, and we have on stage here today both euphoniums and baritones. Could someone hold up a euphonium, or all the euphonium players hold up your instruments? Very good. Now we've got some baritones in there. Now the baritone players hold up your instruments. There we go. Now the difference between those two, thank you, is that the baritone is what's called a cylindrical bore, like the trumpet, in that it does not taper very much until you get very close to the bell. The tuba and the French horn are conical bore instruments, which means that from where the mouthpiece goes in, the instrument begins to grow much more quickly, and it grows in size gradually until you reach the bell, and it gives a more mellow tone. Now, the tuba and the sousaphone, we have a few sousaphones here today. Would you stand up and let people see your instruments? Sousaphone players, thank you. Okay, let's give them a round of applause. The sousaphone is essentially the same instrument, it's just wrapped differently. And it's a little bit easier to carry when you're marching, so that's how that came about. But we have another phenomenon here on stage. You see that many of the tubas have the bells pointing up toward the ceiling, but we have some that have this that looks sort of like a sousaphone, but it's not. This is called a recording bell. Back in the day, when recordings were first starting to be made, string basses could not be picked up on the old acoustic recordings, and tubas were used quite frequently. Even on orchestral recordings, sometimes they had tubas playing the orchestral string bass part because you just could not hear it using the old the horn of the acoustic recording. Well, anyway, a bell that faced forward like this pointed the sound toward the microphone, and that's why it's called a recording bell as opposed to the upright bell, which, do you have one for that instrument that's an upright? Okay, but they do exist, and some tubas are made that way, and it's just a little bit of information about where the instrument comes from. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a little bit. Our next carol is Good King Wenceslas. It's based on a true story. It's based on a true person, I should say, the Saint Wenceslas I, the Duke of Bohemia, who lived between 907 and 935. And the story is about this generous king that went out at Christmas time to give alms gifts to the poor people on the Feast of Stephen, which is the second day of Christmas, or December 26th. And during the journey, he had a page or an assistant that went along with him to help him with the presents. And the snow got so bad that they thought they were going to have to give up and quit distributing gifts. But miraculously, wherever the Duke, the good King Wenceslas stepped, the snow melted and created a path for them to go forward and deliver all their gifts. So please join us on Good King Wenceslas. nice audience. Thank you. You can clap for yourselves. You deserve a hand. Good job. The word tuba is actually a Latin word that means trumpet. In the Mozart Requiem, there's a tuba mirum, the sounding trumpet. And the tuba was invented to replace a kind of bizarre instrument called an ophicleide that was its predecessor, and some composers actually wrote for ophicleide. Berlioz wrote ophicleide parts, as did Felix Mendelssohn. And if you can imagine, I don't know how quite to describe it, a baritone sax that was played with a tuba mouthpiece, but it pointed straight up in the air, but had big keys like the saxophones do. That's what an ophicleide was like. But it was not a very satisfying instrument, so Vieprecht and the other ones decided that they would make a large instrument that was a bit more like the trumpet and the French horn, and that's how we got our modern tuba. Now, in the 20th century, there have been a number of very virtuosic concertos written for the tuba, the most famous being by the British composer Ralph Vaughan Williams. But the film composer John Williams has written a concerto for tuba. Edward Gregson has. There have been so many other people. And the tuba has a very wide-ranging opportunity to perform. In the early 20th century, you saw a lot of tubas being used in New Orleans jazz bands. And again, what I mentioned earlier about being able to record the tuba more successfully than a string instrument is part of that. But even today in New Orleans, you'll find lots of brass bands, they call them, who are using often sousaphones or helicons. It's a different kind of it's sort of like a sousaphone, except that the bell points straight out to the side. Not up and not forward, but kind of out to the side. But it's very much like what we see in the sousaphone. Our next carol is "It Came Upon a Midnight Clear." It's a poem based on a carol and a poem written by Edmund Sears, who was pastor of the Unitarian Church in Weston, Massachusetts. And it was published first on December 29, 1849, in a publication from Boston called The Christian Register. And Sears is said to have written these words at the request of a friend, a minister in Quincy, Massachusetts. And in 1850, Richard Willis, a composer who studied under Felix Mendelssohn, who we already mentioned, wrote the melody, and they put the words together, and I really think it's just one of the most beautiful. So join us on "It Came Upon the Midnight Clear." Our next carol, one of my favorites, O Little Town of Bethlehem. Phillips Brooks was an Episcopal priest and rector of the Church of the Holy Trinity in Philadelphia. And when he visited Bethlehem in 1865, he was inspired. And he wrote a poem for his church and asked his organist to supply the music. And he was able to do that. You know, hymn tunes have titles. You see them printed at the bottom of the page in hymnals, and sometimes it's unclear where they came from. The tune that we sing in the United States for O Little Town of Bethlehem is titled, for some reason, St. Louis. I think they should have titled it Kansas City, but I didn't get a vote. In England, there's a different tune written by Ralph Vaughan Williams, who I mentioned earlier, who composed a tuba concerto that I think is also fantastic. And maybe some year, Scott, we're going to have to get an arrangement of the other tune because I love that one so much. Let's enjoy O Little Town of Bethlehem. Now, in that top 5 listing of carols, of course, is Silent Night. A German carol. And you know, at this time of year, sometimes we have loved ones who cannot be with us. Some of those are loved ones that have passed on in the previous year. Some are people that just happen to live out of town and can't make it home, and others are the incredible men and women who serve in our armed services. And they may be anywhere in the world. Some are facing imminent danger tonight. For some, it might not be tonight, but it might be next month, it might have been last year. But we know that all of those people who do serve and have served in our armed services do a great service and a great debt to our country. And that it's not just them that serve, it's also their family members who support them, make possible for them to go out and do the important things that preserve the kind of freedoms that we enjoy. So as we play this next hymn, let's think about all those people who cannot be with us either for whatever reason. But let's think about all those people as we play Silent Night. As you can tell, we have a wide range of different people here on stage today. But I always like to figure out some special statistics about this group. Our youngest performer on stage today is 11 years old. Would you stand up? Our 11-year-old, would you stand up and be recognized? Thank you. Our most experienced performer. This is pretty amazing. Very proud of this person. 84 years old. Would you please stand up? This just proves that playing the tuba and the euphonium is good for your health. So if you are worried about, exercising or New Year's resolutions, forget about jogging, play the tuba. Take up the tuba in the New Year, right? You can't go wrong, really. And then you can join us next year for Tuba Christmas. And the person who traveled the farthest distance to perform with us today came all the way from Rolla, Missouri. A round of applause for that contingent from Rolla. And let's move right on to our next carol, which is Hark the Herald Angels Sing. This is a time of year when we give thanks and are grateful for lots of different things. Of course, we look forward to getting presents and so forth, but we're also very grateful. You know, Tuba Christmas, for all of you, is a free event, but you know it's not really free. Someone is paying to have the hall available and for all the things that go on here. And we have very generous donors who sponsor this event, and we are very grateful for them. One of our donors wishes to remain anonymous and is with us today, so I won't embarrass this person, but thank you very much for your sponsorship. But another very special couple who are sort of literally the patron saints of Tuba Christmas are Don Flora and Janet Stallmeyer. Now Janet was here at our previous performance, couldn't be here today. But Don Flora is not only here today, he is my seatmate. Would you please stand up and take a big round of applause, Don? Don, we're very grateful to all you do and for the great spirit you bring to this event, and so happy to have you participate. There is another group of people without whom this event simply would not be possible. And so many other things would not be possible And those are the music educators who have taught everyone here on stage at some point in their career, maybe right now. Maybe it was years ago. If you are 84 and have been playing the euphonium all those years, you had a music teacher somewhere in your background. And we love those people because they are selfless. They probably put in more hours than any other teacher you could name, and are just a remarkable, remarkable group of people. If we have any music educators on the stage or in the audience, would you please stand up and let us thank you? Stand up. And to share a personal reminiscence about the importance of music education in his life, I'd like to turn the mic over to Professor Watson.
Thank you, Brent. Well, Frank's just, of course, paid homage to these music educators here. And I just wanted to share with you that very much like the travel guru says, Rick Steves, who says that travel changes people. Well, I'm here to say that music education changes people. I am one of those people. I owe everything, and not in my career, but in many ways, my happiness in life to surviving high school due to my band director, Mr. Tommy Goff, where I grew up in Alabama. And Mr. Goff had, like these educators here, always was trying to find ways to connect with his students. And he really changed my life in terms of not only instilling the joy of music and the joy of playing the tuba, but also all these life lessons by participating in music and being part of something that is greater than yourself. And these educators here today are that next generation. It's been much easier for them to stay in the classroom back at the school and not do all the extra work that it took, but they came here because they knew their students would be better off by having this experience. So they took that extra time, just like Mr. Goff would have done, to make sure that these kids come out of it. And I just want to personally how important this aspect of musication is today's event here at Tuba Christmas. So again, a final thank you to all our music educators.
There's one more person I want to thank without whom this event wouldn't happen either, and that is Stephanie Brimhall, who is the Symphony's education manager. She is the one who accepts all the requests from all the different groups and organizes this so beautifully. I hope she's in the hall, but whether she is or isn't, let's give a big round of applause for Stephanie. Well, let's get back to music with one of our favorites, Jingle Bells. One of our other traditions here at Tuba Christmas is to have an informal contest about who did the best job decorating their instrument. You will see people have done different things. And today's winner, voted on by the fellow performers, today's winner is Camden Clark from Lewisburg High School. Camden, would you stand up, please? All right. Batteries not included. Well, if you look around the stage here, you will see all manner of people sporting some pretty spiffy Tuba Christmas gear. We've got the hats, we've got scarves, we have headbands. And for those of you that haven't finished your Christmas shopping, I have to say, you can't buy this online. There's one place in the world you can buy it, and that is here today. So, you know, if you are looking for that perfect Christmas gift for the one you love, what could be better than Tuba Christmas attire? Ladies, your husbands may have caps and sweatshirts and all kinds of things from your favorite sports team, but I can guarantee you they don't have a Tuba Christmas stocking cap. And gentlemen, you know, jewelry gets boring. If you go out in the lobby, over there by the windows, and purchase a nice Tuba Christmas scarf for that special woman in your life, I can promise you, you'll never forget the look on her face on Christmas morning. So, please go out in the lobby afterwards and peruse the delightful Tuba Christmas merchandise. I'm sure you will find just the right thing for that special person you haven't bought for, or a nice stocking stuffer. But we have one more tune for you today, and it's appropriate because I think that this is a joyful event, so we're going to close with Joy to the World. How about an encore? From all of us to all of you and your families, we wish you a Merry Christmas. Thank you for coming. Have a great Christmas.